What position do you take in theology?
I'm a theist. I mean, I can defend any position primarily a theist.
Your microphone is like, bro. You said what?
I said that I'm a theist. I can defend any position primarily a theist.
You're a theist?
Yeah, theist. Yeah.
What's your definition of God?
Yeah, I just said that my definition is God, but it's quite an exhaustive definition. But like, a simplified definition of God would just be a being that is pure, a being
I'm gonna
that is
turn on my
consistent existence
microphone.
itself, and a being that's absolute.
Hold on, bro. You're like, there's like background noise in your fucking microphone. That's just like blowing the fuck out your mic. Can you turn up your microphone? Bro, is it just me or bro, Yanni? Yanni, are you there? Yanni.
This mic is
Tootie
super
patootie.
loud.
Bro, can you hear Rizzhan properly? Bro, Rizzhan, say something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm
Hello?
saying, bro.
Yeah, hello.
Holy
Is
fuck.
y'all
What's your
ain't even
definition of God, Rizzhan?
Yeah, my definition of God is just a being that is absolutely simple, a being which is subsistent existence itself, and a being that is pure.
All I heard is absolutely simple. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, absolutely simple, subsistent existence itself and pure.
Existence itself. Are you saying that
Yeah,
this being's essence is identical to its existence?
yes.
Okay, sure. What's the argument? Can you give me the formal argument?
Well, the argument, the argument for why this being exists. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, what is it?
It's a formal argument, so I just can't grab it from somewhere.
Holy fuck. All I heard is it's a formal argument. Just drop the formal
Yeah,
argument in
yeah. I'm
chat.
only got the
This is gonna be so AIDS, bro. Bro, Rizzhan, bro, are you talking to your phone? Do you not got any like AirPods or something? You sound like you're underwater, by the way.
Ooh.
I'll make your little pussy bleed. What the fuck are you talking about, nigga?
Nigga, you a whole ass clown. Nigga.
the arguments in the sideshow.
Is one just premise one?
Yeah, when it's just premise
It's not even formal.
it is formal.
I mean, it's not even valid.
What do you mean it's not valid?
Yeah, it's like it's set up horribly. There's like no premise one, premise two, conclusion one.
Yeah, yes,
Premise.
there is. You can see you can see if you read like the argument, you can see like the web
Where I'm reading right now.
It makes
The
explicit.
totality of reality encompasses everything. Okay, so for number 3, is that a premise? Is that a conclusion?
No, the premise is just the definition of premise.
I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
I said premise 3 is a definition of premise.
Premise 3?
Yes, it's a definition of premise.
Can you structure it properly?
When you structure it properly, you can see all the information.
Premise 1, premise 2, and then conclusion 1.
You don't need me to do that because like you can see in the argument where the conclusion.
I mean, you can obviously
For example,
see
if
it, sure. You
says-
can claim that you can see it, right?
Well, if it says, for example, if it says therefore, then that's obviously a conclusion. If it says if, then that's obviously a premise.
Sure, if there is not at least... Okay, so what's the inference for number 1?
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
You don't know what I mean by what? What word do you not understand? Inference or premise
Because
1?
an inference rule, okay, so an inference rule is going to be between a set of premises, not in one premise.
Yeah, okay, so did not descend the set of premises? Like what? You can have an inference rule in a premise.
The inference rules are literally in the brackets, contrapositive inference.
Yeah, I know. So are you making a claim that the premise 1 is not connected to premise 2?
What did you say?
Yeah, you can have like a premise 1 of if I go outside, then it's raining or some shit.
Also,
Right.
you said
I'm asking for the inference rule for the number 1.
there is no inference rule.
There is no inference rule, so it's not valid.
No, there's not inference rule for premise
Okay.
one. There's only inference rule for the set of premises that follow after premise one. You can't have an
Okay, so
inference
this
rule
argument's not
contained
even
within.
valid.
You can't have an inference rule contained within a premise. That's just trivially true.
You disagree
And
that your argument's not even valid.
if you want the inference rule,
Some premises within
if
your
you want
argument don't even contain inference, bro. Like, it's
my
not even good.
argument,
Like,
you can actually see them in the brackets. Contrapositive inference, modest tone, additional syllogism.
yeah, okay. I can grant that, right? But you just said that premise one doesn't even have any inference.
I'm
How
saying
do we know
that
that
there is no inference. I'm saying that there is no inference rule contained within premise
Okay,
one.
Rizzhan.
It's
But
trivially
listen,
true
Rizzhan, is
that
your
premise
argument?
can't contain an inference
Yeah,
rule.
sure. Is your
Premise
argument
is still
probabilistic or
deducible.
definitive?
What did you say?
Is your argument going to be probabilistic or definitive?
It's a deductive argument, hence why there's
So it's
inference rules
definitive.
in the
Okay,
bracket.
sure. So how do we know that the conclusion is going to necessarily follow?
Because you can literally see the inference rule that it uses.
So you're saying that just because the premises have inference rules, therefore the conclusion has to necessarily follow?
Yes, because that's the definition of a deductive
Okay, sure.
argument.
So yeah. Okay. What's like a fact you accept to be true? Like you
That's
existing.
fine.
Do you think that you exist?
Yeah, I do think that I am.
So if I make the claim that if you exist, then I win the debate, and the antecedent is true, therefore I win the debate, do you think that's valid? Do you think the conclusion doesn't necessarily follow?
It's valid, but it might not be sound, hence why the
Wait,
distinction
no,
between
yeah.
the
Sound is just
distinction between validity and soundness.
okay. Let me just address what you just said. Sound is just gonna be dealing with like the truth of the premises. You already agreed that you exist, right? That's gonna be the truth of the premises. So
Yeah.
you would have to the conclusion would
No,
necessarily follow that I won the debate.
Yeah, the consequent doesn't have to follow from the antecedent.
No, you said that. Okay, now you're just like hedging, right? Because I know what you said originally. What you said originally is that the conclusion would necessarily follow if there was inference rules, right? There's gonna be inference in what you just said, what I just said. Therefore, the conclusion would have to necessarily follow with me winning the debate.
Where's the conclusion? There's a difference between the consequent and the conclusion.
What that is not just what I just said, right? You're saying that the conclusion has to necessarily follow from your conclusion. Your argument has to necessarily follow, right? Because there's inference, right? If you're saying that there's inference, right? Therefore, it has to necessarily follow the conclusion is true. And then I posit an argument in which you exist, right? That's going to be the truth of the premises, already out of the way. And you agree that there's inference, therefore meaning that it's valid, right? So it's a sound argument. Then you're just hedging if you say to like, with the consequent. No, that's not what the matter.
Can you explain how the argument sound?
Yeah, okay, so do you agree that soundness deals with the truth of the premises?
Yes, soundness deals with
Okay, do you agree that you exist?
Yeah, you agree that
Okay, there. Okay, there. I just proved that the argument's sound. That's why I asked prior if you exist, right? And then you agree that you exist, therefore it's sound.
You don't understand that proving that the antecedent is true doesn't mean that you're proving that the consequent is true.
The consequent is true. Bro, are you retarded? It's a conditional. It would have to necessarily be the case, right? That's what the inference rule is.
Just because the antecedent in the conditional is true doesn't mean that the consequent is.
Okay, sure. So are you saying that okay, I'm using that logic, then your conclusion isn't necessarily granted, right? What's the argument for the consequence in your argumentation?
In my argument, in this argument.
Yeah, if the consequence isn't explained by the antecedent being true, right? Then what's the argument in which hold on, I wasn't done. Right? If you're trying to make the claim that the antecedent isn't going to be the justifier for the consequent, right? Then what justifies the consequent in being true?
No, I'm not saying that the antecedent is not going to be the justifier for the consequent. I'm just saying that I'm saying that the consequent doesn't always have to be true when the antecedent was true.
Okay, sure. Can you give me one instance?
So, for example, if I say that if it rains tomorrow, then God exists.
Okay, sure. So you agree with me, right? So just because there's going to be inference between your premises.
Between inference rule and
wait, so you seem to be all over the place, right? You're saying they're like, well, the conclusion has to necessarily follow because inference, right? But at the same time, when I posit like a syllogism where you exist, therefore I win the debate, you disagree because the antecedent doesn't always have to grant the conclusion. So what justifies the consequent in some instances where the antecedent justify the consequent?
The difference between the consequent following from the antecedent and the premises following and the conclusion following from the premises. There's a clear difference there.
That doesn't answer my question. If you're saying that there's some instances where the consequent isn't justified by the antecedent, then what justifies the consequent in those instances where the antecedent doesn't justify the consequent?
The consequent doesn't have to be true in those instances.
The consequent doesn't have to be true?
No.
Yeah, I'm asking for an instance in which the consequent is true where it's not justified by the antecedent. Go ahead.
I
Just give me
so for example, let's just say that if it rains tomorrow, then the sun is blue. No, if it rains tomorrow, then dogs are not cats.
But you already brought this up, and I already like refuted this, right? You're making a claim that like it doesn't have to necessarily follow if there's gonna be inference, right? You're asking what I'm asking is just for the cases where the antecedent justifies the consequent. How's the consequent gonna be justified, right? You failed to answer this like twice now.
The consequent doesn't need to be justified by the
Okay, if the
antecedent.
consequent doesn't need to be justified, then okay, we can go to conclusions. This argument's
What do
like
you mean we can go to conclusion? Give me an example,
bro. This argument is like fucking horrible, bro. It's like no, it's not even set up properly at all. This is mumbo jumbo.
You can literally see the inference rules in the bracket.
I mean, I even asked you, bro. I asked you, like, why does a conclusion have to necessarily be granted? You said because of inference. I posited the argument where it has inference, and you said, well, it doesn't have to necessarily be granted. You went on this hedging. Hold on. You went on this hedging spree, bro. I'll let you talk after. Chill, relax. But you went on this hedging spree, where you were saying, but like, well, the consequent doesn't necessarily always have to be granted by the antecedent, and then I can agree with that. And I'll just attack your argument because you're the one that only provided the argument, so I just critique that. So I can go ahead.
The argument will still be valid. What we're arguing on whether the argument is going to be sound. So what we're disagreeing on is whether the argument is going to be sound, but you can still grant that the argument is going to be valid.
Oh my god, that's fucking retarded. But you already agreed that soundness is gonna deal with the truth of the premises.
How is that incoherent?
Yeah, you already agreed that soundness is gonna deal with the truth of the premises. You already conceded to the fact that you exist. Hence, the premise is true. Right, and it's just a conditional at that point, right? So if it is the case that you exist, then I win the debate. You would just be disagreeing with the validity. You would just be disagreeing with the consequent. I mean, not the consequent, the inference.
Yeah. Can you explain how the antecedent in the premise being true means that the premise is true?
No, you would have to go by that, right? Because that's your line of reasoning.
No, but you made the point.
I can just say that I don't know whether or not I agree with that, and then that would attack your own argument. This is like you shooting yourself in the leg. This is like so fucking embarrassing.
Wait, how would it attack my argument?
Yeah, okay. So how would you be able to justify the premises being true and having inference between another? Just because they have an inference rule?
No, because I actually give some external justification for why the consequent flowing from the antecedent is going to be something that's the case.
Sure, so if you know in some cases, right, you can have inference between your premises and inference rules between your premises and they still not be inferred from one another, what's going to be the justification that your premises are all inferred, right?
Wait, can you repeat like what you said first again?
Repeat what I said first? So if it's going to be the case that your some arguments can have inference rules and still not be valid, meaning that they don't infer the conclusion to be true, right? So how do we know in this instance where they do or the premises are inferred?
Wait, no, I disagree with the fact that you can have an argument with the inference rule that's not valid.
Okay, sure. So the argument would go through that I wanted to debate if it is the case that you existed.
No, it's not sound.
Oh my god, we already went through this. Alright, we can conclude.
No, it's not sound. It would be valid.
We can conclude. We obviously just... Rizzhan, we're just gonna be like, nah, we're obviously gonna disagree, bro.
Wait, like I can put this through like a simple truth table. You understand that? Like if you've ever like done a truth table before, you'll see that for a conditional to be true, both the antecedent and the consequent have to be true.
Yeah, I'm asking you, how do you derive the consequent to be true?
How do I derive in my argument, in this argument I'm giving?
No, just in general. How do you justify the consequent being true if the antecedent is justified?
You either by the form of the argument or some external justification for the consequent.
Okay, what's the external justification in your argument that justifies the consequent being true without the antecedent justifying it?
Yeah, but premise one doesn't have an antecedent and a consequent. It's just a general statement.
Okay, like any. I don't care. Like premise 2.
Okay, so if there is not at least one unconditioned reality, then the totality of reality is collectively conditioned. So that's something that we call contrapositive inference. Well, it's just like a true disjunction. So, for example, take the fact that we have like a collection of dogs. If it's the case that there is no cat in the collection of dogs, then it's obviously just true that the collection of dogs is just dogs with no cats. Right.
So your justification... Wait, hold on. That's retarded. That's begging a question. If you're trying to justify that... If you're trying to justify that a consequent can have justification when the antecedent doesn't justify it with like an inference rule, when that's what's in question, That's gonna be big in the question.
You can't have an inference rule within you can't have an inference rule within the premise.
Yeah, yes, you can. What if I ask for justification for like a conditional, for example?
You
You don't think that? Wait, hold on, one sec. You just messed up, right? You don't think that when I ask for justification, if I'm like a conditional, for example, you're not obligated to provide it in like a valid format, or like you can't provide it in a valid format?
The conditional can't be valid because the condition isn't a set of premises.
No, I'm not talking about a conditional. I'm talking about the argument for the conditional, right? So if I say that, if I walk outside, then your mom's a bitch, right? Well, what's gonna be the case that why if I walk outside, then your mom's a bitch, right? And the argument can be valid. If you're trying to say that, well, you can't make it a case for that's gonna be valid or justification of it's gonna be valid, then what you're giving me is just gonna be invalid bullshit.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh my god, what part do you want me to repeat? Okay, bro.
Like,
Okay, Rizzhan, what I want is just the justification for the consequent being true, without the antecedent justifying it in your argumentation.
You want the argument for why?
Yeah, why does the consequent have to necessarily follow?
Why does the consequent have to necessarily follow? Because if it didn't follow, then it would be a P not P.
It would be what?
That'd be a P not P. It'd be a contradiction.
Okay, why would it be a P not P?
Because, for example, let's say that we had a collection of dogs, right? And we said that there is no other animal or there is no other object in this collection of dogs other than dogs. If we said that we had a collection of dogs that consisted of no other animal, and then we still said that there is an animal in the collection of dogs that is not a dog, that's obviously a contradiction.
Yeah, okay, you're still going back to you. Okay, hold on, you're still going back to first. I don't even know if that's like valid in the first place, given your like interpretation of what it means to be the consequence to be justified. But even if we were to grant that, like, you still haven't justified how the consequent can be like necessarily followed within just like a normative sense. Like, why does the consequent have to be necessarily?
Sense? What do you think that normativity means?
A normative sense is just like colloquial.
No, normative sense just refers to what we ought to do or what we ought to do.
No, I just gave you my interpretation of what it means to be normative.
Well, I just take it to be ad hoc.
Okay, sure, I don't care, right? I gave you like what I mean.
It's just like
as I was saying, right, you still haven't justified like how in any just like basic sense that the consequent has to be necessarily followed by the antecedent if there's a conditional.
Yeah, I just gave the argument for that, and you still haven't attacked the argument.
No, that's like that's an argument within your argument, and it's like I'm not even getting to the
argument from the dog example.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I wish
you can think I did with the dogs, like being in a state. Hold on, yeah.
We can go back and say, right. I did give the argument.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you tried to, right? I don't think that follows in the first place. I mean, if that's your argumentation, then that's fine. Because you made the claim that like just because it has inference rules, that just means that it doesn't always have to follow. The conclusion doesn't necessarily have to be true. I gave you my example with how if it is the case you insist that I want to debate.
It doesn't make the argument sound.
Okay, soundness deals with the truth of the premises. The only like truth in the premise it's just like it's gonna be contingent on whether or not you exist. If it's the case that you exist, then I want to debate.
Yeah, and this just goes to circle back on why.
Yeah, you disagreeing with the conditional is the validity.
No,
by the way.
This just circles back on why the consequent is true.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, so if the consequent is true, then if the consequent isn't true, then the premise is false.
Yeah, we're asking, how do you know that the consequent is going to be true? Why does the consequent have to be necessarily what does the consequent have to be necessarily justified?
Wait, what are you even talking about here? Y'all don't make.
Yeah, okay, sure. If there's a consequent in an inference rule, right? What does a consequent have to necessarily follow?
If there is a consequent, that what?
Okay, wait. Do you agree? Okay, sure. Do you think that the consequent has to necessarily follow?
Follow from what? The antecedent.
The antecedent.
No, I don't believe that the consequent has to necessarily follow from the antecedent.
You don't think so?
No, I told you like 5 times.
Okay, sure. So with the example that you gave with the dogs, right? And you're saying it's a P and not P. Just name the P and not P.
Yeah, so the P and not P is that we're saying that there's only dogs in the set, and then we go on to say that, well, there's actually a cat in the set, while also affirming there's only dogs in the set.
You need to just put it in like an argument.
Yeah, so I can like type out syllogism.
Yeah, put it in like a syllogism. Yo, Andrew. You seeing this bitch ass?
Yo, real quick, Kashi. Oh, never mind. That's Carol.
Hello.
Yo, what's good, Carol?
What's up, Nemesis? So, Ghost.
Yeah, Andrew, but you. Yo, what's up?
Did you just like steal Single Phoenix's whole flow?
No. I actually started this.
Oh, you started it?
Yeah, when I learned about like I figured out that like you can't really justify it. It's all just intuitive. Like the premises being inferred with one another.
So Single Phoenix the copycat.
Yep. He's the one that taught me it. But I'm the one that like used it in like every single debate. I even got Rex.
I think you gotta go beat on like Single Phoenix to show it moves better.
Yeah. I already got on Rec. Andrew was here, he hedged. Oh no, he like backtracked. He said that the consequence has to necessarily follow. I asked him for the necessary conditions. He said, well, if there's an inference rule, then the conclusion has to necessarily be granted, right? And the consequent is necessarily followed by the antecedent. So I gave him an example in which that he agrees that he exists, right? So I said, if you exist, then I win the debate. And then now it's all of a sudden that he doesn't agree that the consequence doesn't necessarily follow. So, yeah. I'm just gonna like keep on putting his thing into question.
It might be over for Rizzhan, man. Yo, can this fat slut get off of my screen? Turn off your camera, Makai, please.
Who the fuck is this, bro?
Okay, so yeah, Ghost. I said like it's in one chart.
Your bitch ass off cam, nigga.
That's
Okay,
basically all
one.
my friends.
If set X contains only dogs, then if it contained something that was not a dog, there would be a contradiction. Set X contains only dogs. I already think that I won on the first point that you backtracked. But yeah, Rizzhan. Hold on. Alright, what's the argument for the conditional?
So the argument for the conditional is just that if we say that some collection only contains a specific type of thing, and then we say that, well, actually there's another type of thing that the collection contains, then there's obviously a contradiction, because we started off by saying that there's only apples in the bowl, and then
that's what's in question. You're just like using a different analogy to justify it. I'm asking for the condition, argument for the conditional.
We started off by saying that there's only apples in the bowl, and then we also said that there's an orange in the bowl, even though we just said that there's only apples in the bowl, and there's no other fruits other than the apple in the bowl. There's only apples in there, so it can't say there's oranges in there as well.
Oh my god, you're such a joke. They're gonna hear like Kakashi. You already gave like you tried to justify the conditional with another analogy that doesn't justify the conditional. So if you think you adequately answered them, we can just conclude. Okay, do you think that you adequately justified it? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay, sure. We can conclude on this. We can conclude on this.
If we said that there's only dogs in a room, and then I also said that there's a cat in a room, you don't think there's a contradiction?
I don't know. I'm agnostic. I'm asking you whether or not there is. If your argument like relies on a question, then that's just fucking pathetic. Like that's purpose pathetic.
You know, I was just asking like if you.
Yeah, and I just said I'm agnostic, and I also said that. Do you think that you adequately justified it? You said yes. Are you ready to conclude?
Wait, what do you mean by agnostic?
Are you ready to conclude?
So what do you mean by agnostic?
I suspend a doxastic. I have a doxastic suspension on a proposition.
A doxastic what?
Suspension.
What do you think doxastic means?
Doxastic? You don't know what doxastic means? What I'm basically saying is that. What I'm basically saying. Yeah. Anyways, what I'm basically saying is that I'm just unsure
Hello.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't hear. I think my Wi-Fi might have cut out.
What the fuck are you talking about, nigga?
Because I asked you like to give
Hello,
the
can you hear me?
definition. Yeah, I didn't hear what you were saying.
Yeah, okay. What part didn't you hear?
When you after you were about to give the definition, because I'm like 269.
What do you want a definition for?
Doxastic.